Indonesia. I call on Bangladesh.
Madam Chairperson, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished participants. We thank the ALCO Secretariat for making excellent arrangements for this meeting. We also take this opportunity to congratulate you, Madam Chair, on your election and would like to assure you of this delegation's full support in discharging your responsibilities. We would also thank the Secretary General for his concise yet comprehensive report on the work of the organization since the 51st session last year. The challenges facing the organization that he has highlighted in his report merit our due consideration. Bangladesh appreciates the current session's focus on certain issues of interest for the developing countries in Asia and Africa. The present government in Bangladesh assumed office with a firm commitment to reduce corruption through a series of far-reaching legal and institutional reforms. The Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, is being progressively empowered to turn it into an independent and effective watchdog mechanism. As a state party to the UN Convention Against Corruption, Bangladesh voluntarily underwent the peer review process and has worked in cooperation with UNODC to conduct the peer review of 2 other countries. The government has also adopted a national integrity strategy which aims at promoting a culture of ethical conduct, integrity, transparency, and accountability in all spheres of society. Bangladesh subscribes to the view that the ongoing international discourse on environment and sustainable development needs to be contextualized within a sound legal regime that must be underlined by the principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities. As a country on the front line of the adverse impacts of climate change, we believe that sustainable development must be informed by a sound and robust interface between its 3 fundamental pillars: economic, environmental, and social. As we stand poised to realize our national aspiration to become a middle-income, knowledge-driven economy by 2021, we would particularly underscore the need for a balanced and equitable approach to an international legal regime on sustainable development that takes into account the specific and differentiated needs and aspirations of countries at different stages of development. In this context, Madam Chair, we take note with interest the suggestion from the distinguished delegation of the Republic of Korea on considering an international legal regime for broadening the UN General Assembly's role vis-à-vis official development assistance. Bangladesh supports ALCO's sustained focus on the law of the sea. We joined the international community in observing the 30th anniversary of UNCLOS last year. Bangladesh has demonstrated its adherence to international law by taking the initiative to settle its outstanding maritime delimitation issues with Myanmar and India through international arbitration. Bangladesh appreciates the Secretariat's study on the statehood of Palestine under international law that we consider to be a useful contribution to addressing this critical question for our entire membership. We believe that this study would help member states to base their arguments on sound legal footing and respond to any misleading interpretation of the existing international law on the question of independent statehood of Palestine. Madam Chair, Bangladesh maintains a zero-tolerance approach to terrorism in all forms and manifestations. The present government in Bangladesh has undertaken a series of legal and administrative measures to match its resolve to combat terrorism and extremism. The enactment of the Anti-Terrorism Act 2009 and its subsequent amendments in 2012 and 2013, the Anti-Money Laundering Act 2012, and the Mutual Legal Assistance Act 2012 have considerably strengthened our national legislation to combat terrorism and financing of terrorism. A significant development in Bangladesh with regard to establishing the rule of law has been the establishment of the International Crimes Tribunals, Bangladesh, to bring the perpetrators of genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and other international crimes committed during our liberation war of 1971 to justice. This has been a long-cherished aspiration of the citizens of Bangladesh, especially the victims who had witnessed a culture of impunity taking shape over decades due to absence of justice. It is notable that one of the most heinous genocides and crimes against humanity of the 20th century is being tried in a domestic tribunal with a mandate to try internationally defined crimes pursuant to the provisions of the Rome Statute on the International Criminal Court. The International Crimes Tribunal Act 1973 ensures that the trials are being conducted in independent, open tribunals witnessed by media and independent observers to ensure the requirements of fair trial in compliance with international standards and following due process. The tribunals have delivered 6 verdicts so far. Madam Chair, Bangladesh believes that the issue of respect for international law would continue to take center stage as we witness evolving debates around the fundamental questions of national sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity. This will be more and more pronounced as civil wars, people's uprisings, religious intolerance, transnational crimes, terrorism, piracy, climate change impacts, financial and energy crises continue to pose threat to international peace and stability. We would like to echo a number of other delegations to call upon member states to make use of the services available through ALCO to build common grounds on issues that often tend to divide the international community. Bangladesh would like to see ALCO's role being strengthened as a potential bridge builder in the domain of international law towards creating a just global order. A fuller version of this statement will be shared with the Secretariat. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Bangladesh. I call upon the Arab Republic of Egypt.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Allow me at the outset to extend on behalf of my delegation our congratulations on your election, as well as the election of Madam Shada as President of the 52nd session of ALCO, and to pledge our full support to you for successful steering of the session. I wish also to express our appreciation to the outgoing chairman of the 51st session, Mr. Mohamed Bello Aduki, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice of Nigeria. Madam Vice President, since the inception of the work of ALCO as one of the offsprings of the Bandung Conference, and we are seeing growing interest in the organization and its work in support of the member states to meet their increasing challenges in realizing their political rights and achieve their developmental goals. The agenda of the 52nd session as adopted has very important items with different political as well as developmental dimensions. And we commend the Secretary General, Professor Rahmat Mohammed, as well as his team from the Secretariat for the excellent work done in the preparation for this meeting. Egypt considers all issues on the agenda of utmost importance. We appreciate ongoing efforts to follow up the work on law of the sea and wish to see what the organization can provide of proposals and studies to be shared among member states on efforts to combat piracy, jurisdiction, extradition, territorial disputes in the international waters and economic zones and beyond. Egypt supports the statement of the Palestinian delegation this morning and wishes to see that the study prepared by the organization is being used by member states and beyond for better understanding of the legal dimension of the Palestinian issue. We have expressed our support to the ongoing talks between the Palestinians and the Israelis to achieve the ultimate goal of ending the Israeli occupation and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. We denounce the building of settlements by Israel on the occupied Palestinian territories, which erodes the possibilities of a two-state solution. We denounce the most recent events of encroachment on the Aqsa Mosque by the Israelis and the underground excavations that threatens the safety of the same mosque, which is considered to be one of the holy Islamic places. We also denounce the attempts by the Israeli authorities to bring changes to the demographic and topographic nature of the Palestinian occupied territories, which will affect negatively on the final settlement agreements between the two sides. In this regard, I wish also to refer to the statement made this morning by the Attorney General of Malaysia that we should go beyond rhetoric. And here I wish to extend our appreciation and gratitude to ALCO members who have supported Palestine's request to attain its non-state membership in the United Nations and to the UNESCO, and to call upon other ALCO members to do so, especially in future requests of Palestine to join other UN bodies. We appeal on the legal experts of ALCO to talk to their politicians and explain the legal dimensions of the problem in order to be part of the peacemaking and put an end to the suffering of the Palestinian people and bring an end to the continued violation of their basic human rights. Madam Vice President, as for sustainable development, Egypt wishes to underline the following. The developing world has been dealing with the environment as one of the 3 pillars of sustainable development and not in isolation from it. The Rio Declaration has clearly indicated that the 3 pillars are economic development, social development, and environmental protection. We in Egypt, as well as other developing countries, have been advocating for the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, and we need to see more work by ALCO to support our efforts for the ongoing preparations in the United Nations for Millennium Development Goals post-2015. A special attention and consideration has to be given to Africa with its growing challenges, especially on combating desertification that is eroding resources and driving huge numbers of its nationals to migrate and also to relocate internally, putting more pressure on its resources. We also request ALCO to provide legal support to the Geneva-based developing countries' missions in areas related to development, where new challenges are arising in the genetic resource utilization, intellectual property rights, especially in basic medicines for the poor and other areas of the like. Finally, developing countries, Egypt among them, have been among the signatories on the establishment of the United Nations and its bodies, voting in confidence that these bodies work to foster international cooperation and understanding and to help find ways and means for a better world through its different fora. We reject all forms of unilateral action outside the United Nations so as to realize a world of peace and understanding among nations. Thank you.
Thank you, Egypt. Kenya, you have the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the delegation from the Republic of Kenya, allow me to express our pleasure at being at the 52nd session of ALCO. We wish to congratulate Her Excellency Dr. Nehru Chada on her election as president of the 52nd session of ALCO, and to congratulate you, Madam Vice President, on your election. We also extend our appreciation to the President of the 51st session, Mr. Mohamed Bello Adoke, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for his successful year as President. And we join all those who have expressed gratitude to the ALCO Secretariat, and in particular to the Secretary General of ALCO, for work well done to enhance the activities of the organization and to implement its work program, notwithstanding the limited human and financial resources. Distinguished delegates, since joining the organization in 1970, Kenya continues to actively participate at annual sessions and meetings of ALCO. As you may recall, Kenya hosted the 28th session in February 1989 and the 44th session in April 2005 in Nairobi. And one of the earlier Secretary Generals, Dr. F.S. Jenga, was a Kenyan. We therefore appreciate that ALCO provides a unique forum to analyze the impact of various contemporary legal issues from the standpoint of our respective countries and regions, to formulate common positions on these areas, and in so doing, contribute to the development of international law. We recognize ALCO's vital role in serving as an advisory body to member states in the field of international law, and we commend the efforts undertaken by ALCO to ensure that the interests of our regions are well articulated at forums such as the UN General Assembly, the International Law Commission, and other international organizations. Distinguished delegates, while we look forward to making our substantive agenda items on environment and sustainable development, the law of the sea, and challenges in combating corruption, we wish to make the following preliminary comments on Kenya's progress with regard to our efforts in combating corruption. Kenya retains the distinction of having been the first country in the world to sign and ratify the United